Okay, hello, dear professor. I am Edwin Espinosa. I am a student of the UTPL. And today I am going to explain my essay about the EFL Teachers Perceptions towards the application of validity and washback to improve teaching and learning. That were the topics that we were learning with you in this bimester. Okay, I am the author, and this was performed in Cuenca, Ecuador in this year, 2023. Okay, about the introduction, the principles of language assessment. I write the title, Enhancing Validity and Washback for Improved Teaching and Learning. Okay. The language assessment plays a pivotal role in measuring learners' language proficiency and guiding instructional practices. Okay, the principles of language assessment provide a framework for designing, implementing, and evaluating assessments to ensure their validity and reliability, of course. This essay that I wrote explores the importance of understanding these principles and their impact on teaching and learning outcomes. Specifically, it aims to examine EFL teachers' perceptions towards the application of validity and washback in language assessment, as well as their role in improving teaching and learning. Okay. Brown and Abey-Quatrama in 2019 are two authors that propose 5 key principles of language assessment. Practicality, reliability, validity, authenticity, and washback, okay? These principles provide a comprehensive framework and designed and implementing effective language assessments that align with educational goals and promote optimal learning outcomes. Okay, as you can see in this graphic that I include in my presentation, we can see the 5 principles that propose these two authors. Okay, let's continue. Okay, the feasibility and effectiveness of administering the evaluation are referred to practicality, okay? In light of the available resources, time restraints, and practical concerns of educational setting, it underlines the necessary for assessment that are simple to administer, score, and understand. Consistency and stability of assessment outcomes are guaranteed through reliability. When given in similar circumstances, reliable assessments produce consistent results that make it possible to compare students' performance over time in various situations with accuracy. Okay, a key area called validity concentrates on how closely an evaluation measures what is meant to measure. Okay, that is the meaning of validity. Okay, according to Brown and Abey-Quatrama in 2019 too, a successful assessment should be in line with the abilities and the skills in the target language and offer accurate information on the language competency of the learners, okay? This is about the principles of language assessment. Authenticity places a strong emphasis on the value of applying the target language to relevant real-world tasks, okay? According to Brown and Abey-Quatrama in 2019 too, authentic assessments encourage the integration of language abilities and depict the circumstances in which learners will use the language, okay? On the other hand, washback speaks on how assessments affect both teaching and learning, okay? So washback is about the two sides, okay? The side of the students and the side of the teacher. It acknowledges that evaluations may affect how teachers teach, how curriculum is created, and how motivated the students are. When assessment inspire students and support efficient teaching methods, positive washback results, okay? These ideas are related and reinforce one another, improving the overall standard and efficacy of language evaluation procedures, okay? And these guidelines can help teachers to create tests that effectively gauge the language competency of their students, okay? When you want to assess, when you want to measure the development of a knowledge of a student, it's very important to have in mind these 5 principles, okay? Language assessment influences how language is taught and learned by acting as a link between teaching and learning outcomes. To create valid and trustworthy tests that effectively gauge learners' skills, educators, as me, as you, as my partners, must have a firm knowledge of the concepts of language assessment. By doing this, the teachers may create a more conducive learning atmosphere, give insightful feedback, and adapt lessons to students' requirements. Education professionals may make wise choices about curriculum design, instructional tactics, and program evaluation by having a solid understanding of assessment concepts, okay? So, I am going to go forward to my purpose and objectives, okay? The purpose of this essay is to explore EFL teachers' perceptions towards the application of validity and washback in language assessment, and how these principles contribute to improving teaching and learning. The objectives include, number 1, to investigate teachers' understandings of validity and its application in language assessment, okay? So, in the first objective of this essay, I am going to investigate if the teachers have this knowledge and have the understanding of this principle of validity, okay? Number 2, to explore teachers' awarenesses of the concept of washback and its impact on teaching and learning, okay? As in the last objective, this second one, I want to wonder to the teachers if they know about washback, okay? To examine teachers' practices is the number 3, and perceptions regarding the integration of validity and washback in their assessments, okay? The next objective is to identify potential challenges and opportunities in implementing validity and washback principles in language assessments, okay? The objective number 5 is to provide recommendations for enhancing the application of validity and washback in EFL classrooms, okay? Understanding the principles of language assessment, particularity, validity, and washback is crucial for EFL teachers to enhance the quality of their assessments and improve teaching and learning outcomes, okay? By developing valid assessments that align with learning objectives and promoting positive washback effects, teachers can foster an environment conducive to language development and help learners achieve their language proficiency goals, okay? However, implementing these principles may present challenges that need to be addressed through ongoing professional development and collaboration among educators, assessment experts, and policy makers, okay? By prioritizing the application of validity and washback in language assessment, we can create more effective and impactful learning experience for EFL students, okay? About the methods, sitting and participants, okay? In my essay, in my research, I go to my work. I work in the Unidad Educativa Santa Rosa, that is a public high school in Cuenca, in the province of Azuay. This institution has about 300 students for initial to third bachelor and counts with 2 EFL teachers that covers all the levels, okay? As you request in the task, we have to to do this activity with 3 teachers. So in addition, 1 teacher from the province of Pichincha that works in a public institution was included in my search of data, in my research. Okay, all of them, the teachers, have more than 5 years of experience teaching English and at least B2 certification level. This is too important because, as you know, the more experience that a teacher has, is better to my research, because the teachers, when have a lot of experience, they have read a lot and they have certifications that shows the knowledge of each one of them. Okay. In this picture, I have included some students of my high school. Okay, let's go for the procedures. In order to obtain real and reliable information in this quantitative study, I use an in-depth interviewing methodology to examine the perceptions and experience of the English teachers from different institutions, as I said, from Azuay and from Pichincha, and with different contexts. Okay, as you know, in each institution, we have different contexts, different actors, like students, you know, the parents too, and the cultural is different in each place. Okay, this is very important because the quality of the information that I obtain improve when you mix persons of one place or culture with another one. Okay. To fully understand the perspectives of the teachers and how they see the use of language assessment principles in their teaching process, quantitative research methods were chosen. Okay, throughout the structured interview, I established open dialogue with each participant, allowing them to express all their opinions, convictions, and personal experience related to the teaching process and their use in development of it. Okay. I talked with the teachers of Azuay face-to-face doing these questions, and I use Zoom to make the questions to the teacher that was in Pichincha. Okay. The qualitative approach allowed me to go further in the specific of the teacher's perspectives and cover emerging themes and capture the richness and depth of their responses. Okay, quantitative data analysis techniques were used, such as the thematic analysis, which allowed the researchers to gain valuable insight into the opinions and experience of the participants, English language teachers, as well as produce results, contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of the research area. Okay, all these techniques of data analysis allowed me to find answers that contributed me in the development of my research. Okay. In this part, I have the analysis and discussions. In the graph 1, we have the thematic map. And the question was, explain the difference between language teaching and language assessment. Okay. So the teacher number 1 answered that language teaching is the way that the teacher used to give information to students. Okay, it was a very basic answer. The teacher number 2 answered that language teaching is to teach contents to students. Okay, so is also a very basic answer. The teacher number 3 answered that language teaching is to give students the necessary tools to learn a language. Okay. And the other side about language assessment, the teacher number 1 answered that language assessment is the different activities to evaluate knowledge. Okay. So this teacher answer is use the word evaluate, okay? I think this is a synonym of assessment, to evaluate, okay? Teacher number 2 about language assessment answer to apply instruments in order to know the knowledge of the students, okay? Apply instruments. This is a very important word, instrument, in order to know the knowledge of the students. Teacher number 3 about language assessment answer that is a way to demonstrate the level of the advances in the subject, okay? To show, to demonstrate the advances in the subject, okay? It's language assessment is a way, okay? So in the next question, the question was, language assessment has an important role in the improvement of teaching and learning, okay? What teachers think about language assessment, if it has an important role in the improvement of teaching and learning. So the teacher number 1 says that it's very important to find the students' weakness and lack of knowledge, okay? Teacher number 2 answered that language assessment plays a role, an important one, that is a way to discover the main facts that need improvement in their teaching activity, okay? And the teacher number 3 answered that it's very important in the search of the students' learning difficulties and also improve their learning experience, okay? About the difficulties when design assessment task, okay, I found some important and reliable information. The teacher number 1 answers that about the difficulties that sometimes have problems because the students have special needs, okay? About this topic is very important to say, and that sometimes the teacher are not prepared to develop this kind of assessment tools to these students that have special needs. So I think this is a very important topic that is very important to develop this kind of knowledge to help these special students, okay? Teacher number 2 responds that it takes too much time when the number of students is too high. Okay, the number of students as we were studying in classes is very important to make this kind of cooperative task when you have a high number of students, okay? Work in pairs, cooperative activities, this kind of task that involves the aggregation of students, okay? This helps to the teacher to make more easy the teaching activity and the assessment too. Okay, teacher number 3 answered the lack of good rubrics and time, okay? I think that rubrics are prepared by the teacher, so lack of good rubrics is not a valid answer for me, because it's the task of the teacher to make good rubrics, okay? About the time, sometimes it is a very important problem, is a very common problem, the time, because sometimes the teachers don't have time to achieve all the activities that they propose in their plannings. Okay, but as I said, a good teacher prepare the material with anticipation, okay? And always is timing their activities and dividing this in a good time, in a good way, okay? Let's go for the next. The next question was about explain some characteristics of validity. The teacher number 1, this is very curious. The teacher number 1 cannot explain because don't have previous knowledge about validity. So I think this teacher needs to read and needs to develop this knowledge. Teacher number 2 says that it measures that a test intends to measure and the accuracy of it. Okay, so this teacher answered that validity is about measures what a test intends, okay, to measure. Okay, so it's like the objective of the test, okay? And teacher number 3 answered that it measures how reliable a test is, okay? About reliable is a topic that we develop in classes. It's very important that the test is reliable, that has real information, that has real problems developed in the real life, okay? The importance of applying washback on assessment tasks, okay? The teacher number 1 in this answer, in this question, has the same problem, cannot explain because don't have previous knowledge about it, okay? This is very sad because I think these teachers don't have access to this information, so is very important to explain them that they have to read, they have to be always searching new sources of information about the modern topics that are in nowadays, okay? Teacher number 2, it is positive, answer that washback is positive because supports effective teaching and meaningful learning experiences. Teacher number 3 answered that washback is the effect that a particular assessment has on teaching and learning process, okay? And now I am going to show my table code, okay, about the explaining of difference between language teaching and language assessment. Here you can watch the answers that the teachers give to me. Okay, about language assessment that has an important role. The 3 teachers answered that is important, okay? About the difficulties when assigning assessment tasks. At overall, the teacher number 1, 2, and 3 talks about time, and teacher number 1 also talks about special needs, as I explained before. Special needs are a very important topic that have to be developed and learned by the teachers, okay, to improve their teaching processes, okay? Explain some characteristics of validity. I have that the teacher number 2 and number 3 talk about validity as a measure characteristic, and one of the teachers answered that don't know about this topic, okay? Have you heard about the importance of applying washback on assessment task? 2 teachers answered that was a positive approach, and one of them answered that don't know about this topic, okay? About my conclusions, after applying the interviews to the teachers and having analyzed their responses, I have reached the following conclusions, okay? About difference between language teaching and language assessment, okay? According to Brown, 2018, language teaching involves instructional techniques, curriculum design, and pedagogical approaches that facilitate language learning. On the other hand, language assessment, as defined by Volker and Davidson in 2007, encompasses the development and administration of tests and examinations to assess learners' linguistic abilities and measure their progress, okay? In this context, okay, have reading these authors. In this context, the teacher number 1 emphasizes the role of language assessment as a means for the teacher to provide information to students, okay? This suggests that a teacher views assessment as a one-way process where the teacher imparts knowledge to the students, okay? This perspective may limit the focus on the students' active engagement and their ability to apply and use language skills, okay? This is like a traditional way to teach, okay? The answer of the teacher number one. As you know, nowadays we have a lot of techniques where the students are the principal actors of the teaching process, okay? So this teacher use a traditional approach to teach by this way, okay? Teacher number two sees language assessment as a tool to teach content to students, okay? This perspective suggests a more integrated approach is better than the last one to assessment, okay? Where assessment takes tasks are designed not only to evaluate the students' language proficiency, but also to facilitate their learning process. This teacher seems to recognize the potential of assessment to drive instruction and promote meaningful learning, okay? The answer of the teacher number two was very good. This teacher demonstrates that he or she has a very good knowledge about language assessment, okay? Teacher number three considers that language assessments are a means to equip students with the necessary tools to learn a language. This viewpoint implies a focus on empowering students to become autonomous learners who can assess their own progress and identify areas of improvement, okay? The teacher recognizes the importance of assessment in fostering students' language learning skills and self-reflection, okay? So I take this information from the answer of each one of them, okay? This is my conclusion, okay? Overall, the responses highlight the varying perspectives on language assessment among the teachers, okay? While teacher number one focuses more on information delivery, teacher number two emphasizes in the instructional aspect, and teacher number three underscores the importance of equipping students with learning tools. These divergent views suggest that there might be different approaches and priorities in each teacher assessment practice, which could influence the overall learning experience and outcomes for students, okay? About the next questions, if language assessment has an important role in the improvement of teaching and learning. Okay, first of all, I am going to explain some points of view of some authors. The first one, language assessment helps identify students' weakness and areas of knowledge gaps, okay? Whereas language assessment aims to improve reliable and valid measurements of learners' language abilities. And this was developed by Bushman and Palmer in 2010. Therefore, while both language teaching and language assessment contribute to overall language learning process, their goals and methodologies differ significantly. With this in mind, I do my own conclusion, okay? Teacher number one emphasizes the importance of language assessment in identifying a student's weakness and lack of knowledge, okay? This suggests that language assessment plays a crucial role in pinpointing specific areas where students may struggle, allowing teachers to tailor their instruction to address these gaps effectively. Okay? Language assessment uncovers areas for improvement in teaching. According to teacher 2, language assessment is a valuable tool for discovering the main aspects that require improvement in the teaching process. This implies that through assessing students' language skills, teachers can identify their own teaching methods or materials that may need adjustment. okay? You know, all the teachers, all the professors need sometimes some adjustments in their teaching techniques or the way that they give the knowledge to their students, okay? Leading to enhance instructional practices and ultimately benefit students' learning outcomes. Language assessment addresses learning difficulties and enhances the learning experience. Teacher number 3 highlights the significance of language assessment in identifying students' learning difficulties and improving their overall learning experience. By assessing students' language proficiency, teachers can gain insights into individual learning challenges and adapt their instructional approaches accordingly, creating a more supportive and effective learning environment for students, okay? Okay, about difficulties when design assessment tasks, making sure the assignments correspond with the desired learning goals and appropriately assess students' knowledge and abilities is one of the biggest challenges. This necessitates careful assessment of the assignment, structure, substance, and degree of difficulty, okay? Vault 2010 made this research, and I cited here. As a various students might have diverse backgrounds, experience, and talents, preventing prejudice and fostering fairness in evaluation is another difficulty. Sadler 2009 said it. In additional special needs, students pose challenges in designing assessment tasks based on the response of teacher 1. It can be concluded that designing assessment tasks can be difficult when students have special needs. Okay, special needs students might require individualized accommodations or modifications to the assessment task, which can present challenges for teachers. Okay, as I said, teachers nowadays have to be prepared to receive these kind of students that need special considerations in the assessment, in the teaching process, etc. Okay, this finding highlights the importance of considering the diverse needs of students and ensuring that assessment tasks are inclusive and accessible for all learners in order to encourage students' deep learning and engagement. It is also essential to construct genuine and meaningful assessment activities. Large class size, as you remember, a teacher mentioned that the number of students is a problem for him or her. So large class sizes lead to time constraints in assessment task design. The response of teacher 2 suggested that the number of students in a class can impact the time it takes to design assessment tasks. When faced with many students, teachers may struggle to allocate sufficient time to develop comprehensive and effective assessment. This highlights the need of efficient assessment strategies and tools that can streamline the task design process, particularly in classrooms with high student enrollment, okay? Inadequate rubrics and time constraints are barriers to effective assessment task designs. The response of teacher 3 about the problems indicates that the lack of good rubrics and time can be significant obstacles when designing assessment tasks. Rubrics play a crucial role in providing clear criteria and guidelines for evaluating student performance, and their absence or inadequacy can make the task design process more challenging, okay? Additionally, time constraints further compound the difficulties faced by teachers in creating well-structured assessments. This highlights the need for resources, training, and support to help teachers develop effective rubrics and manage their time effectively when designing assessment tasks. About validity, Teacher 2 demonstrates a solid understanding of validity by stating that it measures what a test intends to measure and the accuracy of it. This suggests that they recognize the importance of aligned assessed content with the intended learning outcomes and ensuring the accuracy of test results. Teacher number 3 has a limited understanding of validity, as they incorrectly state that it measures how reliable a test is. While reliability is an important aspect of assessment, it is not synonymous of validity. Validity refers to the extent of which a test measures what it is intended to measure, okay? While reliability pertains to consistency and stability of the test. Teacher number 1 lacks prior knowledge about validity and is unable to provide an explanation. This implies a gap in their understanding of assessed concepts, particularly validity. It highlights the need of further professional development or training in assessment principles to ensure a comprehensive understanding of essential concepts for effective language assessment. Okay, about the applying of washback on assessment tasks. Applying washback to assessment in assignments is essential for fostering successful learning outcomes. Washback alludes in the influence that assessment have on instructional strategies. Assessment tasks may affect teaching strategies, student engagement, and curriculum development too, when they are thoughtfully created in the line with learning objectives. Studies made by Brown in 2001 and Cheng in 2008 found that well-designed exams that offer insightful criticism that can boost students' motivation. Okay, this is very important. Can boost students' motivation. Okay, direct their educational process and create a deeper comprehension of the subject matter. Okay. In this context, teachers too recognizes the positive impact of applying washback on assessment tasks. They acknowledge that it supports effective teaching and facilitates meaningful learning experiences. This suggests that teacher too values the feedback and influence that assessment can have on the teaching and learning process. Teacher number 3, on the other hand, understands washback as the effect that a particular assessment has on the teaching and learning process. This implies that they are aware of the potential of and consequences that assessment can have on shaping institutional instructional strategies and student learning outcomes. Teacher number 3 seems to acknowledge the interconnectedness between assessment and instruction. Okay, teacher number 1, on the other hand, cannot provide an explanation about the importance of applying washback on assessment tasks due to their lack of previous knowledge on the topic. This suggested that teacher 1 might not be familiar with the concept of washback or the potential impact on the teaching and learning. Further professional development or exploration of the topic might be beneficial for teacher 1 to enhance their understanding of the relationship between assessment and instruction. Okay, my recommendations. Some productive recommendations after having analyzed the responses on the EFL teachers are, is recommended to adopt a balanced approach to language assessment that combines elements for each teacher perspective. This could involve designing assessment tasks that not only provide valuable feedback to students, but also integrate content, instruction, and promote the development of language learning tools by taking a holistic approach to assessment. Educators that can maximize its potential to support the students' language acquisition and overall learning outcomes. Teachers receive training and support in inclusive assessment practices to better accommodate the needs of a student with special needs. This is very important, to receive training, to receive courses, to receive more information about these special needs, about the students that don't have the same opportunities or don't have the same situation that another ones. Educational institutions consider reducing teacher workload by employing additional support or implementing technology-assisted assessment tools that streamline the task design process for large student numbers, okay? You can use the technological tools when you have a high number of students. Schools and districts provide professional development opportunities for teachers to enhance their understandings of rubric development and assessment design, enabling them to create effective assessment tasks efficiently. It is essential for all teachers to develop an understanding of washback and its potential benefits to optimize their assessment practice and support student learning. So teachers have to keep in touch with washback and validity concepts and appliances, okay? Finally, I have my references. And that's all about my essay, okay? At overall, it's very important to us as teachers to be in this line of always receiving training about these new topics, for example, validity, washback, and the principles of language assessment. In general, this research, this essay, was very important for me in my formation because I learned about some gaps that the teachers have and about some strengths and weakness of the teachers, okay? Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye.